Time for Psalm 105, and hopefully this is two parts. I know the last one only has one part because it was thrown out, but if you want to see a flatland view from pagans, that's their idea of the world. Really, we're uneducated people here. Okay. Oh, can't give thanks. Give thanks to YV. And, whoops. And call on his name. Make known his deeds among the races. Praises to him by speaking of all his wonders. Glory is his holy name. Glory is in his holy name. And the hearts of those who seek YV, let the hearts of those who seek YV be glad. I can't cut that. Seek YV in his strength. Seek his face continually. With your strength. Okay, he seeks YV and is his strength. He seeks his face continually, or to be before our Creator at all times. Remember his wonders which he had done, his marvels and judgments uttered by his mouth, the seed of Abraham, his servant. The seed of Abraham and his servant sons of Jacob, he has chosen ones. He is YV our Creator. His judgments are in all the earth. I guess that would be a Trinity verse right there. But then it would be countering Jesus' words. You don't want a Trinity. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. Which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac. Let me blow this text up. Maybe it might be not big enough there. Sorry about that. Oath to Isaac. And he confirmed it with a statute. Confirmed it to Jacob for a statute for Israel as an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I will give the land of Canaan as the portion of your inheritance. Well, it just wasn't Canaan's land. It was some of Shem's that Canaan overtook. It would be a good time to show this, what I've been given to know is this here. Noah landed about here because this land is known as Shem's land at this time, because Jacob crossed past the rivers going back into Canaan's land. This was what Laban was told, and to have these rivers are what they used physical boundaries as what land was whose. The first son gets the land from the father, then Canaan's land would have been second, and then Japheth's, his third son, would have been here. So believe it or not, the Philistines and all the people that are said that were in the promised land are really descendants from Noah. And what you see here is this is the original land of Canaan. But as you know, the promised land is a little bit different at the end, or when they conquer. Let's see, do I have that? Yeah, now remember this line up here, and then you can see that all of this. So like I said, this was supposed to be Shem's land. This here is Canaan's, and then this here was Japheth's. So, but this is the promised land that he gave them. Moses gave them this side here. So now you know what I know. So you said you give them the land of Canaan. I don't think he said that at any time. He just gave them the promised land. So this here is really not true. Well, then again, give them land. Let's just make it like that right now. Because statutes to Israel, the statutes started with Abraham, so that's wrong. And our Creator doesn't have oaths. He swears, or he tells them this is what's going to happen, flat out. He confirmed it to Jacob, which is Israel, for a statute. Israel is an everlasting covenant. His covenant is promises made from one male to his son, and then down to us. When they were few in men in number, very few and strange in it, they wandered about from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another people. Now this is not really true. They went and conquered nation to nation. They left Egypt. Nobody was living in the Sinai desert. You can't live there. When they came out of the Sinai, they started conquering. So they didn't wander about from nation to nation. They were on a path. So this is not true. This is not true. He permitted no man to oppress them, no king to oppress them. He reproved the king for their sake. Do not touch my anointed ones, and do my prophets no harm. Now see, here's the problem. They weren't known as prophets when they came in to the land. I know the text in the Bible will say Abraham was a prophet, but that's being said by a king who doesn't even know what a prophet is. And by the way, the promises to our Creator didn't happen for another maybe 400 years. So how would he know he's a prophet? So the word prophet is being misused in the text. And do my prophets no harm. This would have to be after, because they had judges that our Creator was talking to. And he did have a prophet. Okay, maybe at the time of Joshua, there started being prophets that were coming and speaking to him. But this is not really truthful. My anointed ones are priests. Okay, do not touch my priests. Because they needed to be anointed to go into work, or to work within the courtyard, and then go into the house for meeting with our Creator, or tent for meeting with our Creator. So this needs to be changed to priests. And I would put harm down here, do not harm my praise. But anyway, he called for a famine upon the land. He broke the staff. He broke the staff of bread. He sent a male before him. For Joseph was sold as a slave. Okay, now here, then this can't be true if we're following the story, because there was a story of the famine in the land. That's why Joseph was down there. He was to provide. So the story is out of order. This wouldn't be true to Israel. His everlasting covenant. His everlasting covenant. And said, I will give you land, yes, returning, portion and inheritance, when they were only a few in number. And they were strangers in the land of Canaan. There wasn't, Canaans lived in their land and Shem's lived in theirs, but Abraham came down. Anyways, and they lived there, so he permitted no man to oppress them. This is out of place. This, well, these are out of place. I'm going to designate them as this right now. Permitted no man to oppress them. Then they called for a famine on the land, and he broke the staff of bread. He sent a male before them. Joseph, well, actually, he sent his son before them. Joseph was sold. For Joseph. They afflicted his feet with fritters. He himself was laid in irons. He was put in prison until the time his word came to pass. The words of YHVH'S tested him. Not sure words from YHVH tested him. There's no text there of that being true. I hope you know the stories, because I know them inside and out, and we know that he didn't really test Joseph. I mean, he was afflicted with, he was put in prison until the time his word, his promise, not his word, his promise. Until time of his I'm just trying to generally make sure the story is true. The king sent and released him. No, the king sent for him. You know the story of the baker and the wine pourer. The ruler of peoples set him free. So peoples would mean races in Egypt. Okay. He made him lord of his house and ruled over, no, not over his possessions, but over the food supply, to imprison his princes at will, that he might teach his elders wisdom. His brothers, he imprisoned his brothers at his will. Okay, yeah, this guy doesn't know the story as well as I do. Israel. He sent for Israel to come to Egypt. Thus Isaac, thus Israel journeyed to the land of Ham. Now, if you know that, now here's something that this has to be Egypt, but the Ham is Canaan. So so that one needs some explaining by uh, this scribe or this writer. And he causes people to be very fruitful. That would be our creator. People be very fruitful. And made them stronger than their... No, he didn't. He caused plagues to do this. By his plagues he made them stronger than their adversaries. Okay, that's how that's going to get corrected. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal craftily with his servants. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. Now Aaron went to, there's a good, people don't understand who Aaron is and what he was really doing. Aaron, if you notice, they could go right into see the king of Egypt, and it's not the word Pharaoh, it's the word king. If you study the text, someone removed his name because Moses and Aaron would have known the king's name and would have had that put into the text. And no, Moses didn't write the 5 books. Moses couldn't speak Hebrew. That's why he went to Aaron, because Aaron could tell the tribes or explain to the 12 tribe leaders that Moses was being sent to him. So a lot of this text is wrong. Aaron, though, was like the one who could walk in and talk to the king of Egypt, because he was related information back for to control his slaves. That's why they could knock in and walk right in and see the king, and Moses went along with them. So Aaron is really this liaison for the king and then to the people, and then our Creator used him to have Moses come and then have him explain to the tribes that Moses is sent to do these things that you're going to see happen or witness happen. They didn't perform wondrous acts among them. Moses explained to him every time that it was coming from our Creator. So he sent darkness and made it dark, and they did not rebel against his word. He turned their waters into blood and caused their fish to die. He sent darkness and made it dark. That's later. This one's the first one. Caused the waters, so that one's out of order. Then a swarm of frogs, even into the chamber of their king. Not kings, just one king at this time. He spoke, and their king flies. Gnats were all over their territory, their land. He gave them hail for rain and flaming fire on their... I would have to check that, because I don't... He sent them hail. Like, for water was like flaming fire to their land, because it destroyed a lot. He struck down their vines. And their fig trees. It shattered their trees in their territory. He spoke and came, and the locusts came. and young locusts without number. They ate up all the vegetation in their land, and ate up the fruit of the ground. This is already being said, so this might be a double. He struck the ground. He struck down all the firstborn in their land. This. They brought them out. Then he brought them out with silver and gold, and that's true. Among the tribes, there was not one who stumbled. Egypt was glad when they departed, for they dreaded them that had fallen upon them. He spread a cloud for a covering for leading them, a pillar of cloud, and a fire to illuminate by night. He's asked them, they asked him, and he brought quail and satisfied them with bread from heaven. He opened a rock and water flowed out. It ran in the desert like a river. For he remembered his holy word with Abraham his servant. For he brought forth his people with joy, his chosen ones with shoutful, chosen people with joyful shouting. Okay, now he gave them also the land of nations. Well, that was the promised land, that they might possess that they take possession of it. So they might keep his statutes and observe his commandments. Praise YHVH. Okay. 22 minutes to go through that. I now understand what the writer's trying to write here. This would almost have to be, we give thanks now to Yah and call upon his name and will make known his deeds among the people. Okay, for the simple fact that the text says that this, I can't remember I can't remember the other psalm that I went through and showed these words about Jesus. Now, where do I have them? There in here. Oh, where are they at? Images for streaming. Jesus. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to show you. Yeah, as in the Old Testament 40, or in the Hebrew text 49 times. In Isaiah chapter 12, he has become my salvation, or more or less our Savior. Okay? Now, when it comes down to 26, these verses, the one that remains faithful, Jesus. We will have an everlasting rock, Jesus. He was brought low to dwell on high. He was on earth and he's going to heaven. The other way, you couldn't, 38, in the land of the living, okay? Now comes some good words in Psalms that we haven't got to, but 2 has it written for the generation to come. Now I think I just threw out 2. Let me take a quick check. No. This psalm was pretty good. Okay, and now when we were going to get to these, nor did anyone who go down in silence. This is talking about, they understand that those going down into the abyss, but they're going to be blessed by Yah from this time forever, that they can come out of the abyss and live in heaven. 18 gets really interesting. He has become my salvation, our Savior. He has not given me over to death. I shall give thanks to Yah. Open the gates of righteousness. Really, it's the gates of righteous here. The righteous will enter through it. Thou hast become my salvation, the stone which the builders rejected. See, these have the word or title Yah, and they've changed it to these words like this. Let me see. I think that's enough on that. Let me see what else. I just want to make sure that you understand. Okay, you should understand that Yah means either his name or the title they give to him. Give thanks to Yah and call upon his name. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the peoples. This would mean okay, let me show you this here. How come I didn't move that into there? Yeah, I did. Oh, that's right. I forgot to find that. Okay, so here I go again. I got to use a pointer here. This is his everlasting covenant or promises when he starts. This is the first promise. He's telling Abraham he's going to make nations of you, from you. Now there's two nations that he creates. He creates Israel and he creates Edom's, who is Jacob's brother Esau. They become kings of a land called Edom. And that's why when they went into the promised land, that when they approached Edom, that Moses' father-in-law came out and talked to them, and they did not conquer that land. They were their brothers. They were the only ones speaking Hebrew, most likely back then. Now, what it does next is in 1818, and in him all nations of the earth will be blessed. Well, this is talking about Jesus. Okay, now this is the promise that we're seeing here in the text pop up. That when they're talking about the everlasting covenant or / promises, it starts with Abraham. These are the words that you need to turn to find this. Now, when we get back to the words here, it's the promises for all the people, for all races. I would put races, okay? And that way, it could be all inhabitants. They might have called them inhabitants, but I'm going to put it in races so we understand what we're talking here. We don't need to sing. We just praise. Our praises are for him. Praise him. Well, oops. This would be out. Speak of all his wonders. Now, we don't know that Jesus is going to perform healing. So when we say speak of all his wonders, it's going to be, we'll be speaking about, oops, maybe this is our Creator's wonders. Let me be careful here and read on. Seek YV as your strength. Or he or Jesus will. So we gotta watch. This might be changing. I don't know at what time here. Seek. And this could be Jesus, because when we're having this seek his face, they were waiting for Jesus. So YV is his strength. And get rid of this. And we'll see. And then get to 11. See. YV is his strength. We are to seek his face continually, because this is, it seems that this writer knows of the promise of Jesus coming and remembering the words I just showed you from Abraham. Now we're talking, we are to seek his face and remember and this would be his wonders he done for us. 32. Remember his wonders he done for us, his marvels and judgments for us. Uttered by his mouth, promised by his mouth. Now it's jumping back to Abraham. By his mouth for the seed from Abraham, sons from Abraham. Uttered by his mouth to, or yes, to, or about the sons of Abraham. So let's just have it to the sons from Abraham. Then to servants, sons from Jacob. That would have to be Israel. they became his chosen ones, right? No. Everyone. I mean, come on now. Like the editors today, you know, if I can so easily pick this verse apart and to say that this is the correct wording, you guys got to ask these guys who are editing all those Bibles, why are they not correcting the text truthfully for us to enter into heaven? His judgments are his promises. His promise is and I just showed you his promises, or his promise. I don't know, I got to get to that. I'm thinking, he remembered his covenant is forever. His words, this is going to have to be tied. His words to remember his covenant forever. His words he commanded. Because forever would, this is covering that. He remembered his covenant is forever. His words he commanded. That's commanded them. Commanded for them. He made his covenant with Abraham. And and gave his word and to Isaac and he swore to Isaac, and he swore them to Isaac. Then he confirmed them to Israel. Okay, I gotta check the time here. 40, and let's see how. Okay, because I've got a good grasp of what's going on, I'm gonna take it I'm gonna try not to make this 50 minutes. Well, I'm going to make it an hour, or into 50 minutes plus. Israel to Israelis. To Israelis is everlasting covenant. I will be changing that to promises. Saying to them, that would mean his sons and Israel. I will give you saying to them, I guess I would have to say that maybe I was wrong here, and that is right. Yeah. Land, because this is promised land. The land for Canaans. As a portion to be portioned. To be portioned for their inheritance. Because these are words promised from our Creator. These all need to be capital letters. When they were only a few in number. he permitted no man to know people to oppress them. But that's what he did. He sent them into the land of B. But are we talking about when they were few in number and they were left? Yeah, because the story's going to change here. Okay. To oppress them. I wouldn't say oppress, but I would say harm them. This is going to be for later. Then he called for a famine upon that land. Oh, upon the this famine is quite large, so all of Egypt, a lot from down in Africa. So the lands on the kingdoms. Because they were coming from all over to buy from Jacob when he opened up the storehouses. Then he called for a famine upon the kingdoms. He broke the staff of bread. He sent his son before them. For Joseph, yeah. For Joseph was sold as a slave. They didn't. The master of the house, who was the ruler or was the had something to do with the prison. Either he ran the prison up on top, and I'd have to say his master. His master put his feet in chains. Come on, this has gotta move faster. In chains. For he was not laid, he was put in jail. I don't know what the correct word here, but it might be imprisoned But for right now, the way my mind is working, okay, 50. Until the time of his promise. Until the time of his promise, their king sent and released him. They wanted to tie this with this because their king and their ruler are being tied together. As time came to pass. As time passed, that's what this is going to be. That's what's trying to be hidden from us. But I got it. Until the time of his promise. It came to pass that most I'm not sure it came to pass. I'm going to probably need to fix that better, but it just the two verses that their king sent and released him, the rulers of the people. He made him Lord of his storehouses. The ruler over all his grains, produce. Anything that could be stored for a long time. I'm sure wheat would be stored as well, but that's a grain. I don't. Sorry. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here and pick up right here, and we have a quick revision or a quick what would I say? It's a remembrance of what happened.